Hi, welcome back to Keeping It With the Joneses. It's been a long time. I mean, this video has been a long time in the making. So I'm basically here to explain to you what happened to our channel and why we disappeared. Basically, it became hard making videos about urbexing with Josh because he got to an age where he was walking but he didn't really understand, like if you gave him instructions like you've got to be quiet, or he was 2, so he wasn't really it wasn't obvious how to do that. Hello Milo. So we were urbexing less and less, which, made it difficult to put videos out. But also, financially speaking, I've lost my income at the moment, which made it difficult for us to travel because we're working with one salary right now. And I have been a bit depressed. Yeah. If I'm honest, I've had a difficult time with a lot of things. So in short, we haven't really been exploring, so there have been no videos to put out. But this channel was never supposed to be just about urbex. It was always supposed to be about our lives in France. And we actually filmed a lot of videos which we never put out, about days out with the family and stuff. So I would like to get back to that. Keeping Up With the Joneses was supposed to be about the Jones family, and so I want to bring you up to date with the last year of our life. I have filmed a bit, we have been filming a bit, and basically our love of old buildings has always made us want to own an old building. And we were living in a small 70s build, and it wasn't really big enough for our family. So for the past 4.5, 5 years, we've been looking for a new home. But it was difficult after COVID. We weren't really in a position to take out a mortgage. But in the last year, we started seriously looking, and we found a house that we really liked in a village not too far away from where we were living. We visited it a few times. It really looked like a solid project, but unfortunately it turned out it wasn't joined to mains water. The owners had lied, so just as we were putting in an offer, we were informed that it wasn't quite how it seemed, and we'd have been forced to take up an entire cement floor, have major works done, and it just took it out of our budget basically. So that was a massive disappointment. So then we started looking again seriously, and we visited quite a few properties. It was actually quite fun visiting the properties. There was a house. It was a small house in a line of houses. It had a garden. It was nothing special, but it had a beautiful staircase, and we considered that. But I didn't see myself just living in an ordinary house somehow. If we're going to take out a loan for 20 years, it has to be worth it. So we then looked at an old funeral parlour, which was amazing. It was a 16th century shop that had been turned into a funeral parlour at one point, so there was still the big fridge out the back where they'd store the bodies, but it also came with 3 flats that could have been rented out, and another big building that could have been turned into a home. And that was all, I think that was 59,000 actually. Anyway, it was too big of a project, and we hated the town that it was in. There was just nothing there for the children, which has always been obviously the main reason to move is that everybody's happy that the family's got what they need. The house we were living in was too small, so we were looking for a big house, but it had to also have, the surroundings had to be good. So we carried on searching and we found a property. Nick wasn't really on board to start with, but he said we'll have a look at it. So we came over to the village, which is a village we've always loved. It's a village called Ambrières-les-Vallées, and we drove past the property, and instantly Nick said, yeah, let's book a visit. There's something about the building. It was clearly ancient. That was straight away obvious, and it just looked interesting. So we booked a visit, and I'm going to show you that visit now. To start with, we didn't think it would work with the bedrooms because 2 of the rooms followed on, but there is an outside door. So we started planning around that and realised we could make it work. We signed a compromis. A compromis de vente is the paperwork you sign to agree to promise to buy a property. So once the sellers have signed that piece of paper, they are selling the house to you. That's a legally binding document, and on our side it was on the understanding that we had to get a mortgage. Then followed a couple of months of stress, basically. A lot of stress. We weren't sure. We were never sure, and right until the end we were never sure this sale was going to go through. There were lots of things that stood in the way. There were lots of ups and downs, and it was quite a stressful time. But eventually we got a phone call from the notaire calling us in with an issue on the cellar. There was an issue on the cellar because we have a cellar which is under the neighbouring house, which is quite an unusual situation, and they couldn't find the neighbours. The neighbours are missing. They haven't been seen for years, so there was no way of contacting them, and they were needed for some paperwork. So in the end we agreed to do without that paperwork, so we're going with much older paperwork which isn't really up to date, but if they ever turn up we can update that paperwork. And we agreed to that, and the notaire said, well, then there's nothing standing in the way anymore for the final signature. And you can see what happens in the next video. Thank you for watching.